Hi, my name is Victoria Mejia, and this presentation is for the Purple Path for Psychology at Work. For this presentation, we were given two video clips. The first one was by Martin Seligman, and he did his on the positive psychology. The second video clip was for the book The Secret. In the video The Secret, their claim is that Newton's laws of attraction means that positive will attract positive. They were saying that if we are positive in our daily life, we will attract positive things. As opposed if we were negative, we would be surrounded by negative things. But what Newton's laws really says is that any two bodies in the universe attract each other with a force that is directly proportional to the property of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of their distance between them. Really has nothing to do with what the video is claiming. So they've taken this law that's already scientifically proven and tried to apply it to their concept of saying that if we're positive, good things are going to happen to us. As opposed to if we're negative, we're going to attract all negative things and we will have bad outcomes. So The Secret uses people in high positions to present the idea that positive thinking will bring forth positive events. In this clip, they had a lot of people with different titles that were high positions, such as reverends or people that already had established companies. So their titles looked pretty big. So it looks convincing to the everyday person watching this that if they believe this, that positive things will attract positive things, then we have a better chance of being successful like they have. There's no sound evidence to prove that this is true. Again, this video is really based on testimonials. There's no scientific proof for this. They didn't do any type of experiments. They weren't measuring any type of data. Like we don't have something like surveys were done or and nothing was collected. Like I said, the only thing that was quote-unquote scientific about this video is that they tried to imply that they were based off of Newton's laws, which we know as by reading the actual definition of what Newton's law is, it has nothing to do with what they're actually claiming. And then Martin presented positive psychology. So Martin believes that there are three different levels to a happy life. You have the pleasant life, the good life, the meaningful life, and each level of happiness is reached through positive emotion. So he's actually gone on and separated what he thinks is what lead to a happy life, and so we have something measurable now. So unlike The Secret, like I said, he has measurable data to support his theory. He's conducted surveys to measure a person's level of happiness, and he's provided a website where you can go on and do one of his surveys. He found out what portion of the brain was impacted by positive life. So again, he has something that he's measuring through the surveys, and he's gone on and done some type of experiment to support his theory. And his theory being that there are three different levels to having a happy life. And again, he's also performed experiments to test this theory. He's done it through medication and also through therapy sessions. Positive interventions, he used methods to increase someone's happiness, again, going along with the medication. And once again, he has some type of data that he's measuring against his theory. And so then the difference between them, like I said, was that The Secret, they're just basing off their theory off of what their interpretation of what is Newton's law, and they are basing it off of just testimonials. They have no type of measurement against it. There's no type of data that we can actually look at to prove that their theory was correct, while Martin actually has come up with a theory, and he's divided the levels of happiness, and he's gone on to try to support his theory through types of experiments and also surveys. So he has some type of data that he's collecting and something that he can measure and either support or negate his theory. So now, we also have to speak about our personal experience for this and how we have dealt with stress, both successful and unsuccessful. So, as we learned from the reading about how stress can be a killer in our response to stress, some people's response to stress is to suppress it, suppress whatever type of negative event is going on, whether it could be a personal life, work. And then what ends up happening when you suppress this type of stress is that it actually ends up getting worse. An example that I have of not managing my stress successfully was there a time at work at my previous position where I had to collect, well, I had to actually report on conferences. And at first, I wasn't really sure how to do this. And instead of actually finding a source to help me out, I ended up suppressing it and forgetting about it. That's what happens when you kind of suppress a stressor. You try to basically forget about it, but what ends up happening is that it comes back, and it actually comes back worse. So in that case where I didn't know how to collect the information for the conference, what ended up happening was that I was really behind and missed my timeline, missed my deadline for the actual project. So I didn't handle the stress at the moment very well, but that I did actually learn from that and learned that I probably next time, if this problem arises, that I should reach out for help, ask someone that may have already done this before, ask a colleague, a boss, whoever that might be, but not let it just sit around to the point where I forget about it and I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's all done. And what ends up happening is when that deadline comes back around, I had completely forgotten about it, and now I'm actually more stressed than I was initially. Another time where I have actually handled stress successfully has been in my current position. I am an administrative assistant, and I often check in patients. And we had one specific patient that wasn't very happy about his care that he was receiving and felt that we weren't doing a good enough job to find him appointments and to help him out. And it's understandable that he was stressed because he was actually going through something difficult with his recent diagnosis. And at that time, what I ended up doing was asking for help. I asked the doctor I work for what we could do to, expedite some of his appointments. And, I tried to talk to him several times. I had a nurse follow up with him just to make sure that he was doing okay. So instead of being stressed out, not knowing what to do with the patient who was stressed and mad at me at the moment for not helping him, I decided to act immediately, and I found sources that would help us out. And in the end, the patient was happy, and I wasn't stressed because I was able to help him out. So this is the end of the Purple Path project.